Hi everyone, welcome back to Rust programming. A word of advice, if you haven't watched the previous videos of Rust programming, please go ahead and watch it because this is a continuation of that. Today, we're going to talk about functions, how to write functions. Now, any programming language obviously should have functions, right? Because nowadays the paradigm shift is to have functional programming. In Rust, as we have seen in the previous lecture, the function begins with the keyword fn, followed by the function name, a set of parentheses, and the curly braces tells us about the body of the function, where it begins, when it ends. Main is a special function of Rust, which is the entry point into the program. It is important to note that Rust uses snake case, snake in the sense between all lowercase, between two words, there's an underscore, or between three words, okay? Words are basically separated by underscore, okay? So here is an example of a function. So function main, which calls another function, and it just prints, simple, right? So the syntax is, you call then another function name with a semicolon in the end. Okay, and this is just nothing but a macro which just prints it. Of course, functions, we can have parameters. Parameters are special variables. Here, say for example, so we define it this way: function, function name, open and close parentheses, the variable name, the parameter name, its data type, which means it's an integer of 32 bits. Unit label is a character. And this is nothing but a placeholder, okay? So which just prints it. And how you invoke it? By passing the values here. It's very simple. If you're familiar with other programming languages, this is just an extension of it. Only thing, the way you write the variable names is just a little different. If you're used to Java programming language, it's a variable name first, colon, by the type. Multiple variable names are separated by commas, okay? And you can access them within the function just by their names. Two important things in Rust: statements and expressions. Statements are some action which is taken, but no return value out of it. Expressions, it takes some action and also returns a value. Say for example here, let y equal to 6, just an expression. It does not return anything. But look here, this is a little different than other programming languages. See this, when you say let y equal to and these curly braces, this becomes an expression. So what you're doing it is, first you're defining another statement, and then you're performing some operation on the statement, and this value will be returned. So after this, y will have value of 5. See, you have defined x as 3, x plus 1. So y will have value of 5. Important thing to note, very important thing to notice, when you are defining a return value, you do not have a semicolon in the end. This is very important. If you add a semicolon in the end, this code will not compile. It will give you an error, okay? So expressions are not ended with a semicolon in Rust. Only statements are. Okay? Functions with return values, right? Many times we define functions with return values. So here it is, simple. How do you define it? You use this arrow notation. So what this is doing is, +1 is the function name, to which you pass a variable which is of integer 32 bits. The variable name is x. It returns an integer, same I32 type. And again, see, note here, it's only thing simple, it's returning x plus 1. And see, note there is no semicolon here, okay? So, and how you call it? Let x be equal to +1, 5. So after this, x will have value of 6 because this is returning. Again, if you add a semicolon here, it's going to give you an error, compilation error. Okay. So again, functions, fn keyword, camel case, two words separated by underscore, parameter name, parameter data type, return value, the data type of the return value. You don't specify the names. And the syntax is have an arrow. And the expression does not end with a semicolon. Control flow, if else, like any other programming language. Important difference. In many programming languages, after if, the condition is in parenthesis. But here, notice there is no parenthesis. Equality operator. Okay. So if the number is divisible by 4, it's simple, divisible by 4. If with else if, okay, and then end with an else. So you can combine if else, and then in the end, you can have an else or you cannot have an else. Okay. So the only thing you have to remember about syntax is in the condition, there is no parenthesis. The body of the if begins and ends with a curly braces, open and close curly braces. All right. Another control flow is loop. So here loops, you can have nested loops. So if you have nested loops, the loop, first of all, the keyword, it's loop. Okay, the keyword itself is loop, like how it was if. Now see here, there is nested loop. Again, the loop body begins with open curly braces and ends with end curly braces. See here, since there are two loops, you can name the outer loop, okay, as counting loop. How do you come out of the loop? There is a break statement. Notice here, break counting loop, right? All you're doing is, if checking if it's 9, you do something. If not, you just keep adding, right? So again, loops, the keyword is LOOP loop. This is nothing but just a label given to the loop because it's nested. It's not mandatory because if you look inside, there's no loop here, right? So these are the loops. That is all for today, covering for today. Let's see this particular example in action. It's nothing, just printing, counting and printing the loops, okay? Just counting numbers, very simple. Let me share the terminal here. Hopefully you can see the terminal. So ls minus l src cat src/main.rs. If you see, it's exactly the same thing, nothing, just printing in a loop. And I'm going to use cargo run. It's going to compile and run the code, and just nothing. See, remaining 10, remaining 9. So it's just decreasing the remaining. Mutable running is 10. It decreases it, and count in the end, it increases it. Very simple. Nothing main, but the keyword is like how to use loop. And again, cargo run compiles and run. It's a packaging system of Rust. So that is it. All right. Next lectures, it's going to get interesting as we dive more in detail with Rust. Thank you all for listening, and see you all again in the next lecture. Bye.